Hey everyone, I'm Ann. Welcome to the Let's Get Naked podcast, where we dive deep into vulnerability. In this space, we'll explore what triggers us, uncover the patterns holding us back, and discover how to take charge of our own growth. If you're ready to dig in, be vulnerable, and face the tough stuff, then buckle up. It's time to get naked. Let's get something straight. If self-love is weak, everything built on top of it is unstable. Relationships, career, boundaries, vision, all of it. And we've done young women dirty. We taught them how to be desirable before we taught them how to be sovereign. We taught them how to perform before we taught them how to feel. We taught them how to compete before we taught them how to connect. So now we have brilliant, capable, driven young women in their 20s who are crushing goals and quietly questioning their worth. Self-love isn't bubble baths and affirmations on a mirror. It's knowing who you are when nobody is clapping. It's choosing yourself when it costs you approval. It's speaking up and speaking your truth even when your voice shakes, especially when your voice shakes. It's not shrinking just to make the room comfortable. And here's where it gets powerful. We do not develop in isolation. We develop in connection and community. Every young woman needs to either find a mentor or be one, preferably both, because growth is not a solo sport. This is where I've been toying with the idea of the modern elder. Not old, not outdated, not irrelevant, seasoned. A woman who has walked through fire, who has made the mistakes, who has lost, rebuilt, burned down, rebuilt again, who doesn't need to prove herself anymore, who isn't chasing validation, she's embodying alignment. That woman is gold. If we don't access her wisdom, we will keep paying tuition to the same damn lessons. Our seasoned women carry pattern recognition, emotional intelligence, perspective, the long view. They know that the breakup won't kill you, that the job title won't define you, that the approval of strangers is a currency that depreciates fast. But here's the twist. It's not a one-way street. Young women carry courage, fresh vision, digital fluency, cultural pulse. They question the systems we were told not to touch. They push conversations forward. They are less willing to tolerate nonsense. And seasoned women need that fire. The modern elder isn't a pedestal, she's a bridge. And the bridge only works if both sides are walking. But none of it functions, none of it, if the root is rotten. Self-love is the root. If you frame your self-love to work with you instead of against you, everything changes. You stop dating from scarcity. You stop working for validation. You stop hustling to prove. You stop shrinking to belong. You start choosing environments that match your standards. You start building relationships that feel reciprocal. You start becoming the mentor you once needed, and that's the ripple. When a young woman learns self-love early, she doesn't spend a decade undoing damage. When a seasoned woman learns self-love deeply, she doesn't hoard her wisdom, she hands it down. That's how we evolve. Not by competing, not by comparing, but by linking arms across generations and saying, I'll show you what I learned and you show me what's next. That's development. That's power. And that's what we're talking about today. Let's get naked. Today, I'm stripping it all off with Brichelle Holler. Brichelle is the co-host of Positive Talk Radio, which I had the opportunity of being on a couple of weeks ago and meeting her virtually. And she came down to Arizona for a vacation, and it just lined up where she could come be a guest on Let's Get Naked and get vulnerable with me. So thank you, Brichelle, for coming, and welcome to the show.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me
Yeah,
here. It is so comfortable, so happy. And you really just set the tone before you even enter the room. So
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you were able to join.
Of course.
So I would love for you to just start by just telling us a little bit about Brichelle. We'll kind of dive in, but maybe just tell us a little bit about kind of where you started and where you are, and then we can kind of dive in a little bit to all the things.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've had a lot of life.
Good.
I am super young, I feel like, but also I've learned so many lessons so quickly, and especially after joining with Kevin. So I went through lots of emotional and physical, definitely spiritual and emotional abuse as a child, and everything was just kind of confusing. So it was very fight or flight all the time. And I didn't really know the difference until I started working alongside Kevin, and he taught me a new way of living and being, a new way to think of things, a new way to feel about myself and how I saw everything in the world through my lens. And as that's changed, I have become a whole new person. I get to say, even on the days when that little ego comes in, is trying to attack you, I'm like, no, you're doing really good, and you're doing the best you can, and that's what matters. And it's not just little setbacks sometimes. They can be massive, but I'm learning through working on those challenges that arrive in life very differently. Sometimes more now than ever, I surprise myself, and I don't realize that I've really done it until after it's done. And that feels really good to be able to walk away with and be vulnerable with myself in such a raw way and accepting. But there's so much still that I struggle with, so much confusion. And one thing that I've experienced lately that is really new for me is the freeze. So there was a lot of fight or flight for so many years. And a lot of times now it's this freeze. And it's not necessarily the avoidance type of thing, but it's maybe the understanding of how to balance things that don't need to be so expressionate all the time, so chaotic, if you will. And so now it's learning that balance of, okay, I'm not going to shove this down, and I'm not going to push away these tears that really need to come out right now.
Yeah.
Because you never know. It will hit you throughout the day. But also, what am I giving my Skittles to?
Listen to you, Queen.
I know.
So Brichelle's in the Skittles gang. I introduced her and Kevin, who's her co-host for Positive Talk Radio, to the book and the Skittles, and I love it so much. And the more that I get feedback from people that read it, the more that it just warms my heart, because it's like it just gives you tools, and it sounds like you're really kind of in the thick of doing your work and understand the value in doing that and how much good comes from that, and that you're the only one that benefits. It's like, I think so many people are so afraid to figure out how to even start doing the work, that it's like, no, it's addictive, because I just keep getting better and better the more that I do. What was your you're super young for being don't please take this as the compliment that it is, but you're very in tune for your age for other women that I see that I feel like are not like, oh, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to lean in, I'm going to dig into all of these things, I'm going to figure out how to grow and whatever. What was kind of have you always been like that, or was there a turning point for you that kind of started that?
I don't think I've always been like that. And for a long time, I did think that I was. It was that convincing. It was my ego and my pride that was like, oh, yeah, you can do it all on your own. You earn and you work and all those things. Everything has to be challenging. But then I still don't know where it happened. And when I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Excellent.
But there was a flip at some point that if I can fail and have this much hardship, then how much can I win and have the peace, have the good, have the happy? How can I can create that? It was this curiosity that was just sparked so intensely back into me. And I think it's because I didn't fight it for once. Yeah. It was for once I just was like, okay. I remember telling you about my surrender quote is when you surrender, you gain full control. Yeah. And still, it doesn't make complete sense.
It doesn't make sense, and yet it still works that way.
It's so good, yes. Yeah. And it's just if I can go through all these things and I can survive that, then how good can good be
Yeah.
type of thing.
Well, it's wild to me because I always look at people in this lifetime, and those of us with the biggest scars are the coolest people. And I think it's because you go through the hard things. And when you do that, you realize, like, wow, I can do anything. You know, if you can make it through whatever your hard stuff was, and you can look back and you can use that as lessons, right? And I will say that master level is looking at that from a perspective where you're grateful for the pain, where you're grateful for the messed up things that happened to you. And when you can really do that and use that as growth and think, okay, what am I meant to use this for, right? Like I say this with my friends and with my husband all the time. I'm like, it's been a setup this whole time. Like my life to this point. Exactly. I'm like, my life to this point, like all of the hard things, all of the lessons, all of the things that I had to navigate and figure out and heal from and grow from and figure out that we're not meant to just keep pushing everything down and numbing on top of it. And like all of the things that I did, and also the fact that I'm willing to speak at full volume and show everyone the inside of my asshole. You know, that's the joke that the vulnerability is for me. Is like, that's what it feels like when you're vulnerable, is literally showing people the inside of your asshole. Because it's, God, it feels scary.
But it's like you're peeling your skin off.
It is, but it literally, I've never once, since my surrender, which was a couple years ago, and even before that in the work, I've never once been disappointed when I led with vulnerability. It has always been it brings stuff back to me that are doors that never would have been opened, conversations that never would have been had, impact that I would never have had on other people, and vice versa. And so to be able to do that and say, yeah, my life was real messy. It still is. Like right now I'm just doing a different mess because now I've learned some things, you know, but it's the same thing. But to be able to do that and to do it out loud instead of feeling like you have to hide something or put on a mask or put on a filter or put on something so that people don't think, you know, things aren't messy. Like, oh my God, shit is messy AF
I'm like,
in my
you want
life.
my circus, I'll take yours.
Exactly. And it's like, and I'm not shy about that. Like I do the things the best that I can. I let things drop all the time. I used to be, you know, I say I'm a recovering control freak, which I spent a lot of years doing. And what I realized is being a control freak, and when people say like, oh yeah, I'm a control freak, like don't say that with pride. That's not a good thing. Like really, once you're able to just ride the wave of things instead of trying to fit things into whatever your expectations are, which is what a control freak is, right? I'll be happy when all of these things fall into line. Here's a newsflash, that will never happen. So you will literally spend your life miserable and suffering the entire time because of your mindset. And it literally is that simple to be able to change your mindset. Yes, it takes work, right? But it is attainable very, very easily to say, I don't want to be like that anymore. And does it take a little bit? It's a muscle, right? Your mind is a muscle. You have to work that to get to this point. But I'm at this point in life where it's like, I'm pleasantly surprised every single day. I have no expectations of what I think is going to happen, and that it doesn't rain on my birthday, or that the wind doesn't blow on a certain thing, or that traffic doesn't delay me, or whatever. It's like, no, I'm just freeballing this life in the most beautiful way, and how amazing that is. You know, so to have you where it feels like you're getting a handle on that so young, and just understanding, I don't want to be, you know, this resent-filled 40-year-old woman. That's where I found myself, right? As I'm 40 years old, completely full of resentment because I was this control freak, and if everything didn't fall into line exactly like I was supposed to, and like all of the things, I don't want to be that person. Who does? But that's what the look is when you feel like you need to be the one that's in control of everything rather than just surrendering, like you talked about. And then that's really what gives you, like, opens your mind to things, you know, like really you can see where you have choices, and you can be the architect of your own life instead of trying to control things that you have zero chance of controlling.
Yeah. You know what's insane is it's so much harder to control because you're fighting against what is best planned for you, and then it's like the cycle of insanity. And I think because I've gone through, I mean, I'm between how I was raised and all the people in my life since then, I can talk to anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have, what your skin color is, what you believe, what color you like. I will talk to you.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. And I think that something that was hard for me to learn, that vulnerability, was to be like, yeah, this is my shit.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about it?
Right.
But also in such a respectful and peaceful way. It's not this, oh my God, I'm bitching about my life every second and nothing is good. It's seriously so much gratitude that when things start to come into place, it's like, okay, why is this here and how's it going to turn out?
Right.
And sometimes I get so frustrated because I'm like, okay, I just want to get over with this. Like, can't this just be the lesson? Like, I think I get it. And when I don't get it is when I learn why.
Yeah.
And there is a comfortability, but it goes back to I was so comfortable in stress. My circus, the chaos, like I had to have a reaction, or who am I? You know, that's just Brichelle. That's just who she is. She's just crazy, insane, just belligerent, you know? And I've noticed a lot lately, and that when I don't give people the reaction they've always been waiting for, or that was so expectant, they're so nervous.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Oh my
it is.
God.
I feel, and then that's where you feel power.
Oh my
you were like,
God.
I didn't need to control anything.
Love it so much. I have this whole thing where I call it like Neo, right? So emotional intelligence to me it jacks me up, like in such a beautiful way. Like I freaking fuck hard. I'm not supposed to say the F word anymore. It's so hard.
Me too.
I know. It's like, oh my God, Michael.
I'm like, I do really good
I know.
behind scenes.
You know, it's like, don't censor this girl. She's meant to use all the words. But anyway, so I fuck hard with emotional intelligence. And I look at that from the perspective of not just my own emotional intelligence, but the emotional intelligence of other people that are around. And so when you talk about being quiet and not giving a reaction and all of the things,
so hard.
I call that like being Neo, right? Like I want to be the non-emotional observer of whatever is happening around me. And that can be in my family, that can be in, whatever. Sometimes I have to plug in, sometimes I don't have to plug in. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to Neo this one, So if my husband's going to I'm like, you go ahead and big dog this one. I'm going to take the Neo's perspective on this one. But that's to me, that's living. That's living, because it doesn't affect me. It is control, right? When you realize that your emotions, when you can have control, right? You want to be a control freak. Get control of your emotions and understand what all of them are and use them appropriately. That doesn't mean you don't process them. That doesn't mean you don't allow them to come up when they come up, because like you said earlier, they come up when they come up. And when tears need to flow, let them flow. When things need to happen, let it happen. We don't need to push this stuff down. That's what we have a whole society of. That's what we have generations of. You can look at people and they're Gen X, great example.
They call it the crash out now.
Yeah, great example. Gen X.
I do that once a day.
Push it down,
for 5 minutes.
numb on top of it. Push it down, numb on top of it. Gen X are doing a really great job of demonstrating that for society. It's not a good look. It's what we have, right? It's what we have, right? We are in that generation.
We're smothering identity.
Absolutely. And so it's like being able to really master those things. That to me is where good stuff happens, because you can create whatever reality you want it to be. And it's like figuring out the cheat codes for life because of doing those things, instead of getting so twisted up in, what did Sheila say? And it's all of this, oh, fuck, stop.
I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Zero interest. Because what ends up happening is, if anyone understands how the game of telephone works, so-and-so says something. By the time it gets to you, if you're looking for blow your brains out insanity, watch Real Housewives of anything. So-and-so said what? She made a comment about whatever, and then they will play the game of telephone. And then I look at Skittle drain, throw them out the window, Skittles,
gone,
the energy,
gone. That's what you said that shifted everything for me. It was what thoughts are pulling your energy and your emotions. And I was like, damn, you want to get raw? You want to humble yourself? You want to see how many Skittles can be gone by the time it hits 12 o'clock?
Yeah. Think about what thoughts have been in your head on rerun, on repeat in your head, right? And then say, no, thank you. I'm not interested in doing that, because you have control over doing that. Now, is it hard to change? 1,000%. I will tell you, I started that whole mental strength thing years ago. But I look at it now and I feel so strong I can't stand it, because I run my brain. My brain does not run me. And once you get to that point, and even once you start to get some traction with that, if you're thinking about something and it's noodling around in your head and you can visualize the Skittles, right? That's where the Skittles come in. That is so powerful, because understanding that Skittles are, mental, emotional, and physical, you get to spend them how you want. They all come from the same bucket. So when you feel drained at the end of the day, what thoughts did you have going on in your head that just dry humped you up and down the day. Right? Because that's what happens.
They do.
They do. And you think about, oh, who said this and what said that? And should I send this email? And should I whatever? And my mom is this and my mom is that. What are you doing? And again, not coming from a place of judgment. I had the exact same thing happen. But now that I understand how it works, because I was able to visualize energy and able to understand how it got spent and able to make choices to how I'm going to spend it better, my life is infinitely better. It's not even close.
You can't compare it.
You can't compare. It's not even like 10x. It's like I lived this life that when I was looking at it from the inside, I thought was amazing when I was doing that. I've always lived a great life.
You felt powerful
I felt
in the
powerful,
same way?
all the things. I look back at that and I'm like, that's dog shit compared to what
Yeah.
I can do now because I understand how
What a
that works.
loser.
Exactly. And then I use that as the fuel that it is to be the architect of whatever life it is that I want to lead.
Yeah.
And understanding that is so powerful. And that's not being a control freak. That's understanding and making choices for your resources, understanding your most valuable resources, making choices appropriately, and going all in on you.
Exactly.
You know, tell me a little bit about. You mentioned something about spiritual stuff and childhood things. Were you raised in organized religion?
No, I
What
was
was your
just
spiritual
drug
stuff?
and alcohol. I was raised in a rehab center with my mom.
Okay.
And my dad was a truck driver, so I mean, we pull the good. Well, if you're like me, you pull the good, right? Because there's so much bad that there's got to be some good. But there was, I drove across the country with my dad in a truck, and my mom, we were in the facility of Odyssey House, and still we're involved in that. I love that program. I love those people. It's part of the reason I am the way I am, very understanding of all types. And we were there for a few years. And then my mom, she just turned into this amazing, most powerful woman. Like she could have been my dad at the same time. But I still had my dad and the roles that they played, and they were never together. But they always talked, they still do. And there was still such a powerhouse. But my mom was this force that was created in me that I don't think a lot of women had, that I'm so thankful for, that I don't talk about enough, because she made things so fucking hard, and she did. You know, it's like, this woman hates me. Like,
Hard for
I
you.
think I hate her. Yes.
Okay.
But then there was my dad's side of things, where it was just, any and all things are possible. The world is yours. And so for a long time, I hated their, as you were talking, I thought surrendering is the easy part. It's making choices that's hard. Because then as you start to understand yourself, you understand other people.
Yes.
You know what decisions go where, you know why. And there's this, you know, you can send yourself down a rabbit hole, but then there's also, that's when you come back to surrender. Well, whatever happens, why is this supposed to happen? And there's still so many things I question. Kevin has, I'm very spiritual. I'm a medium, so I can't fight it, you know. What we don't see is much more powerful than what we do. And understanding that energy and what I am being in and what I'm living and what I'm thinking is my reality, I get mad. I get mad sometimes, and every time now that I've recognized where the anger arises in me, because if you knew me my whole life, it was just very snappy, very, very easy to get a reaction out of. That's why I say when people don't get a reaction, like, oh shit, what's going to happen?
Right.
You know, like,
It's just your emotional intelligence
like,
evolving.
What's going on with
Yeah.
this person? But then even in the inside of me, it makes me want to cry, just because this little girl was just so fight or flight for so long. And I think it's hard for a lot of us to talk about those things, because then if we don't take the blame, there's somebody who can, not in a negative space.
Right.
It's not, I hate you or I blame you. It's, you were responsible for this. And even with my dad, I think that's where a lot of my own things that I have so much to work on is, like, my favorite person in the world allowed me to go through some of the worst things. And so learning love, learning relationships, respect itself was just like, what the hell is that?
Right.
That's why I say I stayed so long where I was comfortable. And even sometimes that brain comes in and it's like, is this even worth it? Just fuck it. Just blow off the rim. You know what I mean? But then there's me that's there now. And it's like, no, it's okay. You don't have to do that. I've got you. And sometimes that hurts, as peaceful as it is. It's like, wow, but I'm just so thankful. It's just, there's so much gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
It overweighs it all. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even know if I can deal with all the emotions of what's to come, because now that I understand and I've let go of so much of the heavy,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much good that's what's kind of heavy now in its place. And I'm like, it's okay. This is good, even though I'm uncomfortable all the time.
Me too.
I'm uncomfortable. I'm like
100%
oh my God,
of my life, I'm completely
feel
uncomfortable.
like I'm naked everywhere I go.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's like, okay, we're meant to push ourselves. If you're not scared of what you're doing in life, you're not doing it right.
Okay,
I believe that, right? So it's like, being at this place where you're on the ledge, I call that free balling.
All the time.
It's like, I've surrendered. I'm on the ledge. I'm doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing. But how cool is that, right? When you talk about being grateful and having that gratitude, having gratitude for all the messed up stuff that happened to you, because that's who made you who you are. I look at that and I think, I am grateful for the pain. And for a long time, I thought, God, does that make me a weirdo?
Oh, no, I'm like, I think I'm psychotic.
Exactly. But here's the whole thing. The pain is what made me who I am today. Yeah. The pain gave me all of the opportunities to be able to sharpen my tools and develop my tools on, right? When I look back at the messed up things that happened to the different versions of Anne along the path, right? Yeah. And going back and holding space for those different versions and understanding the importance of doing that, right? For women that are listening specifically, well, guys too. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. For me, it's like I go back to the versions of that little girl that had to deal with the things. And I look at that from a different perspective.
That's what's hard.
Right? It is. Because I look at that from my niece is this age right now when I was dealing with XYZ. And would you would you be mortified that your niece had to deal with that? Because I spent so much time of my life going, it's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine.
To give yourself that space and be like, hey, that wasn't okay.
Fine. Exactly, because that's the whole fight or flight that you talk about, is you're just in survival mode, and so you're like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Should a child go through, and I can list all the messed up things, nobody needs to hear all of that, but you can list all of those things. Should she have to go through that? No. Was I tough enough to do that? Yes. And I can be soft enough now to go back and hold space for that young girl who should never have to see the things that she saw, who should have never had to deal with the things that she did, and just feel the emotion of that. Because when you're going through it, you never feel it. Right, you never feel it. And so that's what stores in our bodies. When they say the body keeps the score, or the body holds on to trauma, and that, they talk about, that's why to me breath work is so important, or other somatic releases of just getting that crap moved out of your body, because that's exactly where it is. And to me, that's where cancers come from and diseases come from. And sure, there are other absolutely right. I mean, that metastasizes inside of your body, and I truly believe that to my core. So it's like, you need to be able to do that work to go back, and I highly suggest therapy, or figuring out your other resources, or books, or whatever, and figure out whatever is in your capabilities at that time. Because I hear so many people say, well, I don't have money for therapy. Don't give me excuses. We don't do excuses. Excuses are not good for you.
So many free things.
Exactly. It's like, have you heard of this thing called the World Wide Web? You know what I mean?
Awareness.
Exactly. Stop. Just all the things. And also, you're the direct benefactor of all of that stuff, So being able to look back and say, I'm going to hold space for the 10-year-old version of Brichelle that should have never had to deal with stuff like that, right? And then just sit in it. Yeah. Sit in it. Journal about it. How does that make you feel? Where do you think that it was
hard
good
because
comes from that?
We go through this whole, we're used to being the victim.
Yeah.
And we don't do it on purpose. It's just natural. It's okay. Well, I've got to protect myself just because anything could happen at any given. You're just used to that.
Yeah.
But then you step away from it and you want so hard not to be the victim. And I went through this phase recently. I'll be so vulnerable, and I have to tell you, because you just brought it up. I realized that everybody saw me how I didn't see me. Everybody was really I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. I love you. I want to give. I want to help. I want to be. I am here. And the only person that didn't feel present was me. I felt like I was being fake. Everybody saw Brichelle is so happy. She's so positive. She's so strong. She's so this. I was like, I don't know who you're seeing, because behind the scenes, I am in my shell, and I'm still scared, because I'm always vulnerable. And I'm not saying that I'm comfortable in that, but I'm willing.
Yeah.
That is it. It's whether you do it or don't, do you want to be up here or down here? You're going to go through hardships either way. Do you want to see how good it can turn, or do you want to see how chaotic you can make it? But it doesn't get easier sometimes, because I realize, I look at myself and I'm like, oh God, I just want to, there's still so much of those thoughts. And so I have both selves that are so present. And one of them is definitely stronger now, which I'm thankful for, the better of me. But it's learning that to still love that self of who I was and how everyone knew me, and how we are still attached, but without hating her and resenting her and just wanting to bury her in the ground or kill her 100 times a day.
Energy is everything, and most of us are spending it like drunk gamblers at a Vegas blackjack table. My book is built around one simple but powerful tool: quantifying your energy so you know exactly where it's going and how to get more of it back. Think of it as a manual for your soul's fuel tank. If you're tired of running on empty, this book will show you how to fill back up and keep yourself in the game long enough to actually win. Get your copy of the Life Hack Playbook on Amazon or on the podcast website, letsgetnakedpodcast.com.
That self-love is savage. To me, that is something that I have been working on more recently.
You're not a victim.
No, but it's just God.
I am.
We're so terrible to ourselves.
Yeah.
For wherever that stems from, whatever that is rooted in, it doesn't matter. We have to fix that. We have to fix that, because it's a really dangerous place to come from. And I don't think people realize the ripple effect that sends out. So it's you say, okay, you feel a certain way about yourself, and you have this horrible, I call her Darla in the book, but Darla, who just is a terrible asshole in your mind, and she's the one that's telling you you're not good enough, and who are you, and blah, 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 okay, great. If you don't realize that your kids are watching, specifically as a parent, you want that for them? Let that sink in. As a parent that's listening, how that Darla brain works in your head that tells you you're not good enough, that you don't love each other, love yourself enough, all of the different things that tie into self-love and compassion and all of that stuff. That's the behavior that you're modeling for your children. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter whether you're saying the words or not saying the words. That whole ball of just self-hatred and not thinking you're good enough and not taking care of yourself and whatever, that's what you're modeling. That's what you're passing down, right? The patterns that we talk about are the things that we keep passing down generationally. If you don't love that for yourself, do something about it for yourself, right? Yeah. So it's when we talk about, in my opening thing, about mentors and having women that are, seasoned and women that are younger and learning from one another and teaching. I don't want to get women to the point where they're 40 and 50 years old, and now we're having to unfuck them too, like we are with the older generations of women who were taught to sit down, be quiet, be small, not say your feelings, not speak up for yourself. Say your truth at full volume, queen. Especially if your voice shakes, you say it at full volume. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable, and it doesn't matter if anything's. If I teach my daughters nothing, if I teach my son nothing, it's use your voice. Mm-hmm. Be in tune with who you are. Don't let somebody else, because it doesn't even happen intentionally. But if you don't speak up and use your voice, then you get what you get.
Yep. It's so true. And going back, especially through my childhood, I went through rape for 4.5 years. There was a lot of other instances with many older men that were just kind of weird. And as I've gotten older and I've started to accept things, I'm unlocking things, because I was always a person who was I remember everything of my childhood. I have dreams about it. I could see pictures and people, and I could map out a whole building for you, just things. But there is things that were that bad. They really did go away. And as I start to remember those things, I'm not angry about it. Yeah. But in order to heal, you have to hold things accountable, right?
Yeah.
Like I love my parents, I love my family. Everything that they were capable of giving me is what they knew.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it didn't mess me up.
Right. Doesn't mean that
Like,
it wasn't
yeah.
really impactful on
Yeah.
your life. But understanding that things happen for you, not to you.
Yes.
Right.
And
there's lots of fucked up things that happened. Yeah.
That flip is where I still I have to grab my mind and I'm like, bitch, shut up. Like,
Yeah.
stop it. This is not, your Skittles are so much worth more than this, and that's what we want. Skittles, okay?
Yeah.
We don't want the fish food. And going through that few years of sexual trauma, and then also the miscarriages, and it brought me to where, I started thinking maybe I'm not supposed to be a parent, and I started to think, well, I'm still a lot both like my parents, and it's this hardship I want to carry on me and my family and my legacy. I kind of want the whole system to be different. And then fighting between, the death and my grandma's passing away, who had raised me and kind of created how all of our living has been. And then losing those children, it's like, okay, well, what am I creating for myself? Who am I now? If I'm going to be, if I consider myself a mother without those physical children and they were still here, how would I feel about that? And so I try to set myself, my future self is coming to me, Anne, and finally talking to me.
Love
She's like,
it.
okay, if you do this, what does that look like? And how are you going to feel about that later? That's what's made it exciting. And I thought that's what I would hate the most.
Oh, the future self is very fun. It's really fun figuring out like
She's just like, okay,
which
let's do
direction you
this.
want to go, right? And the more you learn, it's like, well, this is garbage because I don't want to have to like
doesn't
think about
stress me
controlling
out.
this
Yeah.
or this or whatever. And then you just like walk into it
Yeah.
because anything is possible in this life. Like I believe that. I started from zero, from nothing, right? I was at a deficit for the stuff that happened to me over the course of my life. There are so many things that have happened for me that have given me the opportunity to grow, that have given me the opportunity to become the woman that I am, that have given me the opportunity to have the balls, to have a platform, to be able to say, this is life, this is messy, this is relatable, I'm going to do this at full volume because it gives other people the permission to be able to do the same. Understanding the weight of that and the importance of that, it's huge. It's like, who is Brichelle going to be as you continue to take these steps, right? And then when you talk about the future self, like really plugging into her, really holding space for her as well. And then healing and growing from all of the stuff as it comes up. When you talk about sexual trauma and how, God, our brains are incredible. They protect us by putting that trauma event in a, this is obviously not science speak. Everyone knows that I do not have a degree. But what it feels
I like your analogies.
I know exactly what it's like. It's what works for me. But it feels like it just like encases that in something and then it just kind of tucks it away. And so when those things start coming up, right, when you start doing the work of not continuing to numb on top of it, which starts with the self-awareness component of it, right?
Yeah.
Feeling all of the things as they don't come up. But God, when that stuff comes up, it's hard because you realize that you've been carrying that around the whole time and you didn't even know. That's the invisible weight of whatever that, nugget of trauma was that now is encased in something that you don't even remember. Maybe that's a 5-pound weight. Maybe that's a bowling ball. Maybe that's whatever. You're carrying all of those things around.
Yeah.
And so when you start to use them as tools for being able to promote your growth. I call that being the scalpel and the surgeon because I'm using the fucked up things that happened to me from my childhood and I'm using them to work on the tools that I've gotten in all of the, self-discovery work that I've done. And I use that to accept responsibility for my piece, being accountable, not playing the victim, understanding that what happened for my highest good. Right? And did so-and-so not protect me in a situation, right? Were your parents not there to protect you when something bad was happening and whatever? Sure. Can we show them grace and understand that they were just doing the best that they could with what they had? I believe that is the most powerful thing that you can do is to show other people grace. Because
forgiveness comes in. When you forgive, you take it all back.
Yeah.
And you don't hold that blame. I think in learning how to be vulnerable and They're holding the accountability is showing how much you are capable of loving somebody and accepting that. Because what you were just saying made me think of how much I've been able to use anger to my advantage.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that sounds insane.
No.
For me, still, I get a little confused. You know what I mean?
love
I'm like,
it.
you're not going to
Yeah.
scale it back, girl. You're actually getting angry. But to feel those emotions, it does. It makes, sometimes I get pissed off. I get so frustrated because I have all the answers and I know. But the more that I don't know, the more that I know I don't know, the more that I have to learn to know those things. And that's when it's like, stop. Like, seriously, like, sometimes I don't even know what it is. It's me telling me that it's okay. And there's the one thing. I know it sounds so simple. It's so, it's okay. No. It's literally okay. Like, baby, you're not going to die. And I think I'm really learning to pull me outside of myself and talk to her,
Yeah.
And it almost gets harder because you doing it all the time, over and over and over again. You're with yourself, but I've realized a lot too that how much I gave to other people is all I needed for me.
I know, God.
I'm like, I'm taking care of all of you.
Look how lovely that one statement is.
Pissed.
That one statement is so powerful. Everything that I was giving away to everyone else is exactly what you needed.
Yeah.
And once you realize, work on yourself first, because once you do that, you can give from
you help them.
abundance instead of, right? And it seems so counterintuitive. That one really jacked me up.
When
it's
you
like,
let go, they come. I'm like, okay, money, bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly. That's a recycling situation, right? With your energy, with your time, with your other things. It's like, once you realize that and you figure that out, and it is super counterintuitive.
And
because
you get to give it away.
Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna go inwards on myself. When I got to this place where I was like, okay, who's Ann, right? Who's Ann? I didn't have any idea. I was a super young mom, moved out of my parents' house when I was really young, lots of just messed up things that go into my ingredients. But I had no idea who Ann was, right? I'm a 40-year-old woman, had just done what I thought was the right thing to do for decades, and hustling hard, making money, having stuff so that my kids weren't poor, because that was something that really messed me up as a child, like doing all of these things, but I never knew who Ann was, So I get to my pivot point in life. I come out the other side of that, and I'm like, I don't even know if someone says, who are you? What are you about? What is important to you? Whatever, like, no, I don't know. So when you turn that lens around and you start looking at yourself and you start saying, okay, who is Ann? Who is Brichelle? And get quiet with yourself, right? Which is hard in this society.
What are your boundaries and values?
Absolutely.
You're like,
oh my God. You're like, what are they? What are boundaries?
Why do I even have those?
I know that was for me in life. What are boundaries?
Yeah.
I literally remember going through something where I was like, how am I this big of a ding dong that I don't know what boundaries are? I mean, we're talking like a grown ass woman, too old. I think it was like 43. Like I was at a rehab, like doing for someone else that was in there, and they're talking about if you have Swiss cheese boundaries while you're supporting someone through addiction is worse than having no boundaries at all. And I'm like, what are these boundaries that they're speaking of? I had to go home and like start Googling that shit and buying books and figuring out like, what does it look like?
What is this cheese analogy
I
shit?
know, exactly. And then I learned what they were, and I was like, oh shit.
That's so good.
It is so good, because now I just throw them up like a ninja. I'm like, not doing that, not doing
And
that,
that
not
was
doing
my
that.
problem is for so long I was working on breaking down these walls, Anne.
Yeah.
It was breaking me down, but also opening me up, because I had naturally, unconsciously was just blocking people out, help, opportunities, just everything.
Yes.
And then I was always angry. It was like the cycle of insanity. I loved it. I was so good at it.
Yeah.
That was my normal. I got used to it. I'm running the game. But then I stepped outside of my game, and now sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what's next. I don't know my next move, and allowing that and allowing other people to be, but setting new boundaries. Once I set that boundary, I'm very good at being, okay, like that's where I stand, and that feels good. But I'll tell you that what I struggle with the most right now is knowing the boundary that I want to change that needs to be set, but convincing myself there's a right time for it, and maybe not knowing how to communicate it, because when shit is new, it's like, okay, sometimes you got to try it a few times.
Yeah. Well, and you're developing it in your own head too when it's
Without
happening.
ruining
it's
your relationships.
Yeah. Sometimes you're saying things that come out of your mouth, and it's like you're just giving words to feelings that you had, and you're like, did that sound whatever?
Did that even make sense?
Yeah. And then when you say it, and it's like, oh, that feels like truth. Like, right? And there is never the right time. Like,
no.
I maintain that. I say people that are say like, I'm working on this and whatever, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't have the luxury of time.
Whatever that is.
I just don't. Like, when something feels right, I'm like, okay, we're going to debut this shit today, I guess.
Yes.
I have like diarrhea of the mouth. And so it just comes right the hell out all the time. But I also maintain that that's a really good approach, because I don't waste time on stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the
People
growth,
pleasing.
No, stop doing that. Everyone stop people pleasing. Oh my God.
I mean,
That's
if
the
we were
worst.
so much more original, I tell you that some of the most original people are the ones that we would never take time for. The people at the gas station that maybe couldn't afford $1 or have a water bottle in their hand. Even the ones, I thought to myself about the comfortability and what people allow, because I got into this state of just gratitude, and I'm like, I dove a little too deep, and I don't think we're aware that can happen so fast. It's, there's still animals being abused. There's still children. I'm like, I can't change the world, but even there is a choice in how you help yourself, but how somebody wants you to help them too, and what you're willing on creating the boundary. If you're willing to put in the work and go balls to the wall, go you girl, don't let a single fucking drop stop you on the way out.
Yeah.
But there's those people that are, there's just always an excuse, or there's always something, or they're just scared, and that's fine. But are you willing to keep that dragging in your bag? Because I gave this guy outside of Target, he genuinely looked like he needed help, and it was one of those days I was just feeling extra good. I'm like, I really need to give, like my cup is flowing over.
Yeah.
And I had bought him a sandwich and something else, and as we're walking away, he yells, he's like, I don't want a fucking Coke, I wanted water. And I'm thinking, I'm gonna knock you out. Take that bag, And then I thought, but that wasn't mine to absorb. That was mine to give.
Yeah.
And the absorbent of things, oh, man. And I had the experience happen to me last week, and I felt negativity attached to me, like an energy. Oof. I don't know where it came from, which I'm guessing I'll learn, but I've gotten to the awareness of myself and things around me that when something latches to me, I get to choose. And I know that sounds like insane sometimes, but it's not. It's literally just in an energy shift, because forever I was like, there's so many things wrong with me. Like I'm not human. There's something wrong with me. You know what I mean? And I felt this thing like grab onto me, and I physically did. I thought of what you said, and I shook it off. I started shaking.
Yep.
My whole body, I started yelling. I was like, nope, this is my space.
Yep.
This is, and how much am I willing to do that outside, but not within? Like we could wake up in the morning and be like, this is the day I'm going to have, this is how I feel, and I love me, let's go. It can be that simple. Why doesn't anybody tell us that?
Right. That's so lovely that you say that.
Because then it's easier when the heart is hard throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah, because here's the thing. There's going to be hard stuff, right? You got to choose your heart. You got to choose your heart, right? But yes, like move your body, shake your energy, understand that your energy is yours. Understand that that's your most valuable resource, and you get to spend it however you decide you want to. Being
be kind, and even if no one's kind back.
Oh God, be kind.
It literally is for nothing, and it fills you.
It fills your soul.
And do you know how many Skittles I have?
Girl,
Because
listen. I understand the Skittle exchange like crazy, because when you're rooted in gratitude, and you do kind things, and you're a good person, right? In whatever your area is, right? When you talk about like, yes, there's still dogs starving, and yes, we can't fix everything. Figure out what calls to you, what sparks you, because what you're meant to give back to this world as the collective is what feeds your soul. And so it literally is like this circle of Skittle exchange that just feels so raw and powerful. Like, me doing this podcast, or me writing this book, or me having the impact on people around me that I do, that actually is a Skittles multiplier for me. It takes Skittles for me to do those things, right? And I get so much back that I know I'm exactly what I'm doing, what I'm supposed to be doing, right? What that takes is slowing down long enough to figure out who the fuck you are. If we have all of this noise and all of this numbing and all of this, I call that mad ass faith, right? Between my girlfriend and between my friend and I, we talk about this all the time because she's like, "Girl, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Mad ass faith." I don't know what to say. I'm like, the universe twanged me, right? I call the big guy. You know, the big guy nudged me, and now I got to do this.
He said this, I'm doing it. I don't understand,
and I don't understand it, and I don't have to because I literally have done so much work to get in tune with who I am. I know my whispers. I know when something says something.
No explanation needed.
I don't need an explanation. I don't need to know, right? I'm doing my part because I realize that I'm just a thread in this beautiful tapestry that we are in this human experience, because I believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. And so once you realize that the things that are here that are happening for you, not to you, right? It takes the victim mentality out of it. It isn't like
you get.
Absolutely. Well, and there's no power in victimhood. You know, I say that all the time to people because I just don't think they realize when you make excuses for yourself, even to yourself, you don't even have to say them out loud.
Yeah.
That feels like slime on your spirit. Stop doing that. You can say, "My bad." Right? We need to reenact and bring that whole thing back where people just go, "My bad."
Yeah.
Instead of being defensive and fuck you to everybody else that did anything to touch your triggers. People do that. They're like, "You triggered me." I'm like,
or to say sorry and they're like, "Yeah, whatever, you didn't mean it."
Yeah.
Then what the fuck are we doing?
When people trigger somebody else and they say, "You triggered me," and then they get mad at you, it's like, wait a second. I just want to talk this all the way through for people that are 100% same.
That's why I get it.
Same.
Because now I'm like, I'm sorry, and I'll feel me triggered still, and then I'm like, I'm sorry to me.
But you realize it has nothing to do with the other person. So
I feel so
you
bad
have
sometimes.
to spread that stuff to other people. Those of us that understand that now need to be the voices that spread that to other people. Because when people say, "You triggered me," and they get mad at you, what you need to like calmly point out to them is, what you're saying then by making me the bad guy in this situation is that your work that you haven't fucking handled, that got bumped into, now I have to fucking carry that. You're bleeding all over me and I'm not the one that cut you.
Well, and that's why I'm the villain. I feel like I went from this victim to the villain.
Yeah.
Fucking instantaneously, right? Because now it's, and there's those people that kind of, they move with you, but when you grow, you don't get control of how fast that shit goes.
No, and you lose people too. And you lose people. That's okay.
And it's every day, it's every week, it's every month. It's like things are always changing. People ask me, my biggest answer lately, Anne, is I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm doing something that I don't know. Therefore, I didn't need an explanation. You're not going to get one.
Right.
Do
just life.
You have trust?
Yeah.
You know, it's everything is just, we live in so much scarcity, but then when that's pulled away from us and life is put right in front of our face, none of that shit matters anymore. And it's like, okay, well, are we really that fucking bored? Are we just lazy to not have to do the work? Because sometimes I tell myself, I'm like, you know what? Just watch a movie. Just forget about it. Just do something to give your brain the freedom to just unravel.
Not grow.
I'm so tired.
But isn't that lovely though, when you can actually do that intentionally and say, you know what, I'm going to check out for a couple of hours, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. The problem is when we're just numbing out and we're zombies in our own lives. People don't realize your life, the way that society and
addicting
is in general is living, you're in fucking airplane mode, you guys. You're in airplane mode. Yeah. Take yourselves off airplane mode.
We're sheeps.
You have the you have the capability to be able to do that. If you want to live that way, then by all means live that way. But here's what I'm telling you. Right. But here's what I'm telling you from both of us that are sitting on this couch. We've lived on both sides of that, and you can see which side we would prefer. We will tell you at full volume, as will everyone else, because I have never met anyone who was in the herd, opened their eyes and went, you know what?
I'm gonna go back to
I want to go back. 0 people have I come across that say that. And that should tell anyone that isn't sure, are they in the herd or not in the herd? If you're not sure, you are, just so everyone knows. And again, no judgment, just let's have a full dose of fucking self-awareness, savage self-awareness, right? But if you're not sure if you're in the herd or not, you're in the herd.
Yep.
If you want a better life, if you want better for yourself and your family. Does that take work? Yes.
Yeah.
Does it take more work than what you're doing? No, just different.
Well, I'll tell you what.
You're just choosing a different herd.
That's because and the way you just said that, I'm looking at this herd and I'm seeing me and you in the back of it. So as we didn't just get to do the work and get the fuck out of the herd. You don't just okay, bye.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta walk back through that herd. You gotta get through the maze. There's
Yeah.
people finding you, stopping you.
Yeah.
There's people dying in front of you. There are all these sheep's got they're all in the way. And then when you hit that outside, that's when there's this moment where you choose to step over the line. That's what you don't come back from. I always say that you can't unlearn this shit because you realize that you choose your own suffering. And I think that's why people don't get out of the herd, is because then, I'm responsible for this? No.
Right.
No way.
They don't want to take accountability
I can't
for it. And
do
it's
that.
like, that's the most freeing, liberating thing that you can do, is take accountability and say, my bad. I was an asshole. I was a complete asshole for my 20s, my 30s. I was a complete
Well, it's embarrassing.
asshole, right?
Like, can you believe who that person was?
Exactly. Like, what a self-centered prick I was.
That's so powerful, too, because it's teaching other people that when they're that person, that forgiveness is worthy in them.
Yeah.
That surrender is worthy in themselves, that they can look at themselves or they can come to you. Because for someone to create the space for you to be able to say, I'm sorry, is one thing in its own, right? It's okay. I can see what you were going through and I relate and I understand, and we're going to move past this now. I think that's where we struggle, especially me at my age in these relationships. It's any wrong fucking move you make, any wrong word you say, something, it would just, all the little ding, 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 dings that happen along the way, they're being accounted for. They're not being understood or forgiven. It's like a tally.
Yeah.
And I fall into that.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. And then I start to think, am I going to be alone?
Yeah.
Like, how much am I really going to be alone in my life? But then I have me.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I am
that sounds like a
not
fucking
ever
dream.
alone. I know, like, leave me alone
you'll
with all the animals.
You'll get to a point where you'll be like, do I get to be alone? And it's not like, do I have to be alone? You're like, oh my God, do I get to be alone? Listen, it's all about how you paint it. And I will maintain, you're the one holding your own goddamn paintbrush. You can say it however you want to. Young ladies are like, who am I going to pair off with? I'm like, I don't know, yourself. Figure your fucking self out first. It's the best.
I feel so good being that person because I see all the other situations and how they went, and great, but not me. And it's almost, it's that ego mind and then my now mind that's like, you didn't get that, but look what you do have. And they're always fighting each other. And does that ever stop, or do you just get better at it?
You just get better at it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you just get better at it.
Yes.
You get so much better at it that it's just like the shit that doesn't really matter. It doesn't even register for you anymore. You vibrate on a completely higher frequency where it's just like that shit doesn't even, like, it's like dog shit on the bottom of your shoe.
Funny?
Yeah, you don't even find it funny. You just find it like it doesn't even register for you anymore, which is really lovely. But also like things just become clear to you. Like, you have clarity so much in life. It's like, what am I meant to give back in this life? What is my impact? What am I meant to do? And we all have different assignments, right? We all have our own things that we agreed to come down and live this human experience and do. Figure out what that is, because when you do that, you're in the flow, right? You're in the flow, you're doing your part. Get your hands up, enjoy the ride. That's it. Right? Does it mean hard things will happen? Of course,
yes.
Right? But like, when you're doing that, you're not causing your own suffering, which is what 90% of people are doing. I maintain that.
I was a professional.
Yeah, exactly. Like, seriously, the hand that you hold is the hand that holds you down. When you fucking realize that you can stop holding that hand whenever you want.
Yep.
You want off the hamster wheel? Step out. It's literally that easy. Not sure where to start? Get a fucking copy of my book. Get a copy of my book. Read it with a friend. Talk about the things so that you can be like, oh my God, what did that bring up for you? What did that bring up for you? I highly recommend. Like, here's the whole thing. If you're listening, get a copy of the book for you and a friend. If you too read it and talk about it and find that you have zero value in it, send it back. I'll buy it back from you. Right? You have zero to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Right. The only thing maybe you have to lose is maybe watching the reruns of The Office for the third fucking time. Grow up. Take control of your life. It can be so much better than the fucking mind-numbing bullshit that we do to ourselves. Yeah. But we just don't want to look in the mirror. We don't want to touch. We don't want to look under the rug. There's this funny thing. You're probably too young for Scooby-Doo. Like, back in the day, there was the Scooby-Doo cartoons, right? And there was the one guy, and he's like, he was the villain in the story, and he's got like a mask on, and they're out there looking for him, and they catch him, and they pull his mask off, and they're like, Mr. Smith, and it's like just the neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's so scared. We live in this society that's just rooted in fear, and so everyone's screaming into the void about their perspective being right and their perspective being right, and it's like, hey guys, I just want to knock everybody's fucking heads together. Can we please just knock everybody's heads together and realize it's just Mr. Smith. Like the monster under the bed, not that scary. And then you can take your whole life back. And then you can work through the shit. And then you can have the life of your dreams because you can be the architect and have it any way you want it.
You know what's crazy is I realize that even the negative things that we define ourselves on do bring us together.
Of course.
Whether it's positive, whether it's negative,
You're holding the paintbrush.
to get to choose it all, that alone can piss a person off. And fine, let it.
Let it.
Let it make you mad and do all the things.
Yeah, what does Mel Robbins say? Let them. Who cares? Who gives a
Well,
shit?
and there was so many things I wanted to do that it was like, where do I start?
You just go. Put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, you don't have to know where you're going. You just trust you.
Brichelle, tell us where to find you. We have to wrap this thing up, but please tell everyone where they can see more of you and learn more about you.
Well, you can visit positivetalkradio.net, and we house all of our shows there, and we'll be sure to share this on all of our websites, our social media, our links. We talked about, I'm one of those people that am not good at social media, but I promise I'm real, people. I'm here
absolutely.
to show you on Anne's show, and thank you so much. I've loved this, the whole experience. It's been amazing, and just having you in my world and being able to meet you in person, this experience of vulnerability has shifted me, and I can't wait to come back and do it again. So thank you so much.
No, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. So that's our time for today. If something stirred or lit a fire under you and you've got thoughts, questions, or a story you're ready to share, slide into our DMs or email us at ladies@letsgetnakedpodcast.com. If you believe in these conversations, help us keep them rolling. Follow, share, rate, review, do all the things. And we will catch you next time. That's a wrap.